house. I even remember a time I even went to the extent back when I don't even smoke weed no more, but back when I was smoking, I even smoked a blunt with the tenant. Like, yeah, bro, you know, I smoke a blunt with you, you know what I'm saying? Give you $50, man. We need to get back in there. And then, you know, I built a relationship, and that's how I was able to get inside of the house, right?
One thing about it, you gonna have to learn how to adapt, man. You understand? That game change like the weather, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, when it get hot, you know what I mean? You take your shirt off. You see what I'm saying? When it get cold, you know what I'm saying? You put your coat on. Same thing, man. You know what I'm saying? You gotta know how to move when it's time to move and shake, man. You know what I mean? It's just like a dancer. You can't have one damn move, man. You understand? You know, sometimes you gotta tap, man. Sometimes you might have to hit them with the bankhead bounce, man. But you get the point, man. Tap in. Bando.
Yeah, man, so I want to talk about why you should add novations to your tool belt with this real estate and this wholesaling game, right? So let me show you why you should add it, right? So I say back in 2022, the Fed, they had upped the interest rates, right? They had raised the interest rates. And before they raised the interest rates, you know, like during COVID, they dropped them real low. You know what I mean? 2% and under, right? So we was just selling the hedge funds, you see what I'm saying? And we was selling them quick. You see what I'm saying? Like, you ain't have to be that good at wholesaling, to be honest with you. All you had to do is lock it up for a decent price. I mean, we were overselling them, you know what I mean? We were overselling them like way higher than what they were actually worth, right? But you know, the hedge fund, they had their own little strategy how they were getting things done, right? So we'll get them under contract, sell it to them. And we would sell it to regular buyers too. So people were fighting for deals. You know, people was offering over asking price and everything, right? So that was COVID. Now during mid 2022, I mean, I even seen wholesalers lose 70,000, 80,000 in 1 month, right? Because they had a high overhead. And when everybody started leaving the market, the cash buyers, they didn't know how to adapt, right? Now, luckily I didn't have we made a lot of money, right? But I didn't have a huge operation. But I also suffered briefly, not too crazy, but I did lose a little bit of money. I had to shift to learn how to do more seller finance, and that's when I learned novations. Now I did my first novation deal in 2022, right? Now to do novations, you pretty much get the deal under contract like you normally do, right? But then when you get the deal on the contract, you get the attorney in fact, right? You get the attorney in fact, on it, right? Now, once you get this attorney in fact with the contract, this allows you to list it on the MLS and accept offers. Now, to get paid off a novation, you gotta file something, what they call a notice of interest on it. Once you put the notice of interest on the contract, right? You're also able to accept accept FHA. You're also able to accept conventional. Yeah, so you're pretty much able to accept FHA and conventional offers, right? So so you list them, you get it on the contract, right? You list it on the MLS, right? And your pitch is a little different from when you just naturally regular wholesaling. You're gonna tell the seller, like, listen, we have a pool of qualified buyers, right? Conventional buyers that want to buy your house, since you know this is the price you want, right? And what's gonna have to happen, seller, Mr. Seller, Miss Seller, is that we're gonna actually have to list this on the market, right? And it's gonna be a lot of in and out activity, right, to sell your property. Now, the benefits for the seller is that, like for example, on a novation, it's times when we might have to clean the property out. We might have to fix a hole in the wall or put a stove or put a refrigerator or whatever, something like that in the property in order for it to close and pass inspection, right? So that's some of the benefits on the seller behalf. So we let them know we cover all that. You know, they still not gonna have to pay any commissions, right? They still not paying the typical 6% commission, right? Because we factor all that in to our end buyer, right? So, you know, even now to this day, you wanna learn how to do novations. It's just a fancy way of wholesaling pretty much. It ain't really nothing different than what you've been doing. You're just selling it to a conventional buyer or a FHA buyer instead of a cash buyer. That's really it. You know, it can be intimidating at first because it's extra paperwork and it's not as smooth and straight up and down like with wholesaling. See, with wholesaling, you just lock it up, send it, you know, get the assignment contract, double close, whatever. It's sweet. But with the novation, you know, you got inspections, you got to have buyers in and out, you got to sign all this extra paperwork. But what I can say is what I learned from my first novation is that if I didn't do a novation, I literally would have not sold this deal. We literally sold this deal for basically retail, right? Needed a little bit of work, but we would never been able to wholesale this deal. So with that being So yeah, man, you know, we would never been able to sell any of them deals. Like when I learned from selling the first novation deal, really most of my novation deal would have been impossible to sell these at a wholesale price, right? Because we didn't actually have it locked up at a wholesale price. So that's the beautiful thing about novations, hands down, man. So put that in your tool belt, man, along with learning how to do creative finance, seller finance, subject to, and all that kind of stuff. But the novation is a beautiful strategy. It normally take around 45 to 60 days to close, but that's some of the cons. The pros is if you didn't novate it, you wouldn't sell it, you wouldn't make no money, and you know that's just the facts. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is, man. Learn how to do them. You know, because think about how the deals you would have thrown away, right? That be like, oh, they want too much, they want too much, they want too much. Well, if you learn how to do novations, it increases your conversion rate, right? So typically, if you normally 40% closing rate out of your 10 contracts, that might increase it to 60%, it might increase it to 70%, you know what I'm saying? So you gotta have more than one tool in your tool belt, man, I'm telling you, you know what I'm saying? So I say learn the novation strategy, man, you know what I'm saying, tap in. I can teach you how to do the novation, right? We actually getting ready to do more of them, you see what I'm saying? Because, you know, the interest rates are still high. They have not dropped yet. So it's still the same, right? Like, and that's why I always say list them on the MLS. The reason why I say list the deals on the MLS is because guess what? Now that you got them on the MLS, you could do the, what you call it, you can wholesale them, obviously, you know, get the cash buyer, or you could do the novation and accept a conventional offer, right? So that's the benefits of listing it on the MLS. This is why my favorite strategy is listing it on the MLS, point blank period. Just list it, right? Now, like I said, every seller is not gonna let you list a house on the MLS. So let's be real, let's be clear, right? So the ones that you can't list on the MLS, see the MLS strategy is more of a personality type, right? If I like the houses that are vacant, you know what I'm saying? So if it's vacant, they can run in and out of it. If it's a tenant in there, then you know that it's gonna be a little more of an issue. Cause if you gotta keep showing the property, then you gotta keep, you know what I'm saying, disturbing the tenant, then I don't really like those type of properties for novations. You know, I try to just wholesale those, and then sometime I have to pay the tenant, you know what I mean, to get inside the house. I even remember a time I even went to the extent back when I don't even smoke weed no more, but back when I was smoking, I even smoked the blunt with the tenant. Like, yeah, bro, you know, I smoke a blunt with you, you know what I'm saying, give you $50, man, we need to get back in there. And then, you know, I built a relationship, and that's how I was able to get inside of the house, right? So, you know, so it's like, you know, you got to be aggressive, man, you know what I mean? But add the novation to your tool belt, man, you know what I'm saying? Don't sleep on that. You don't want to be a one-trick pony where, you know what I'm saying, you just pretty much wholesale, and that's the only thing you know how to do, right? It's good starting off, but you want to do more than one thing, you understand? So tap into the novation, right? Like I said, click the link below. I'll show you how to do the novation, you understand? I'll show you how to I actually give you my contract that I use that'll actually give you the attorney in fact that we use, right? So actually it's one more paperwork too. It's the attorney in fact and the novation indemnification, right? Don't let that big ass word, you know what I'm saying, scare you away, right? Novation and indemnification, you know what I mean, you know, whatever. That's some more paperwork. You got, actually what's so crazy how we did the first one, right? We tried to wholesale it. Right? We had buyers going in and out, in and out. It was a squat in there. The girl, she was in there for like 2 years without paying rent. You see what I'm saying? And you know, you couldn't kick the tenant out back then during COVID because you know they had the I forgot the word for it, but they had the law. Well, you know what I mean, you couldn't kick them out, right? So people going there beating on the door, let us in, da, 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 you know what I'm saying? So eventually, I think she had got up out of there or whatever, and then you know what I'm saying, we was able to go ahead and work our move with it, right? But at first, you know what I'm saying, we weren't able to do it. You see what I'm saying? Because she wouldn't let us in the house, right? But long story short, nobody wanted to pay the price that we wanted, right? So we listed it on the MLS and we started getting offers, right? And I was like, damn, this is crazy. They was all conventional FHA, right? So I told the seller, like, listen, we're ready to close, but we got one more piece of paperwork I need you to sign, right? And he's like, okay, cool. Then we sent him the novation. So at first he just signed a regular purchase agreement with the attorney effect. And then after that, you know what I mean, we sent him the novation agreement later. So we was very creative and very aggressive, right? You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? You got to be aggressive. You got to be creative when it comes to closing these deals. You understand me? Right? So, like I said, man, you know what I'm saying? Click the link below. I teach you how to do novations. I teach you how to scale your wholesale company up. You know what I mean? And let's take this to the next level, man. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, don't be a one-trick pony. Learn how to do creative finance. Learn how to do novations. Also, learn how to be better at wholesaling, right? Tap the link below. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff, man. Bando Joe. Peace. I'm out.